I want to start today with a statement that, honestly, it felt a bit like a punch in the gut when I first read it. It
Oh,
comes from the transport industry, but really, if you're running any kind of business right now, or even just, managing your own career, it's going to land.
okay.
The quote is, "Standing still is not neutral, it is dangerous."
It's a jarring way to open, isn't it? It just, completely dismantles that comfortable idea that if we just keep doing what we're doing, we'll be fine.
Exactly. But in the context of the material we're looking at today,
Hmm.
it's it's really the only way to frame reality.
I agree.
It really sets the stakes.
Yeah.
We are diving into a really comprehensive guide published by Greystride, titled How to Build a Culture of Continuous Improvement in Transport Operations.
Right.
And the mission for this deep dive is, well, it's pretty specific. We want to figure out how a fleet, or really any heavy operations business, can move from what they call survival mode, where you're just putting out fires,
All day long.
to foresight, where you actually have some control.
And that shift from survival to control, that is the holy grail. I mean, if you look at the reality of running a fleet today, the entropy is massive.
Right.
You've got fuel prices that fluctuate wildly, tires are getting more expensive, interest rates move, and on top of all that, your customers want everything faster and for this money.
So if you just stand still,
Those forces will erode your business. You aren't staying the same. You're actually going backward relative to the market.
that's the dangerous part. If you aren't actively swimming upstream, the current just washes you away.
Mm.
But what really stood out to me in the Greystride text is their solution. They don't say buy better trucks. They don't say get some expensive AI logistics platform.
No.
They talk about culture, which feels, well, it feels a little soft for an industry built on diesel and steel.
It is counterintuitive for logistics, right? We love hardware, we
Right.
love horsepower, we love seeing the assets on the road.
Cool.
But the source argues that the difference between a fleet that just survives and one that, dominates is the software, and I don't mean computer programs.
You mean the human operating system?
Exactly. It's about building a culture where improvement isn't some one-time event. It's a habit.
Let's unpack that, because culture can sound a bit fluffy.
Mm.
Before we get to the solution, I really want to linger on the problem. The source talks about the trap of survival mode. And I think a lot of our listeners are going to recognize this feeling. What does that actually look like on the ground?
It looks like a game of whack-a-mole. A truck breaks down,
You fix it.
a driver resigns, you scramble to replace him, a customer complains about a late delivery.
You react. You offer a discount.
Right, cash is tight, you start chasing invoices. It is just a constant state of reaction.
It's high energy, but it's reactive.
Exactly. And the dangerous thing about survival mode, and this is a key insight from the text, is that it feels like work.
Yeah.
It feels productive because you are solving problems all day long. You go home exhausted thinking, man, I worked hard today. You're flooded with dopamine from putting out those fires. But the source makes a really profound point. Survival mode leaves zero space for improvement. You are running as fast as you can just to stay in the same place.
That is a scary thought. You're confusing activity with progress.
Yeah.
You're sweating, but you aren't actually moving the needle.
Precisely. And in that environment, all the inefficiencies just hide. If you're always rushing to fix a breakdown, you never have time to ask why the breakdowns are happening in the first place.
You never get to the root cause.
Never. So your margins just slowly shrink, eaten away by chaos while you're busy patting yourself on the back for surviving another day.
So the antidote, according to Greystride, is continuous improvement. Now, I have to be the skeptic here for a second.
Go for it.
That phrase, continuous improvement, it sounds a little like buzzword bingo.
Yeah.
It's something a consultant puts on a slide deck to justify their fee.
Yeah.
How does this source actually define it?
Well, and I had the same skepticism, but they strip away all the jargon. They define it as a simple, almost mathematical discipline. Every month, something must get better.
That's it.
That's it.
Just one thing.
One thing. It's not about some radical overhaul or doubling your profits overnight. It's about the compound interest of small wins. Maybe this month, fuel consumption improves by, say, 2%. Next month, downtime reduces by 4 hours. The month after that, your invoicing speed goes up.
It's not Hollywood. It's boring.
It's boring, but it compounds. If you get just 1% better every month, by the end of the year, you are a completely different company.
I really like that distinction. It's not about being a hero. It's about being disciplined.
Exactly.
So let's get into the mechanics. The source breaks this down into 6 concrete steps to actually make this happen. And step 1 is operational visibility. The headline here is simple. You cannot improve what you cannot see.
This is the foundation. It has to be. Most businesses, they look at their profit and loss statement at the end of the month. They ask, did we make money?
Right, which seems like a reasonable question.
It is, but the Greystride guide correctly identifies that as a lagging indicator. That tells you what already happened. It's like driving a car by only looking in the rearview mirror.
By the time you see the crash in the P&L, it's way too late to brake.
It's too late. So what you need are leading indicators.
So what should we be looking at? What are those leading indicators?
You need to see what is happening now. The source lists some specific core metrics. Fuel consumption per vehicle is an obvious one, but they go way deeper.
Okay.
Maintenance cost per kilometer, tire life performance.
Yeah.
And a big one, revenue per truck versus cost per route.
Ooh, that last one feels crucial. I imagine it's easy to look at a truck and say, hey, it brought in $5,000 this week, and think you're winning.
Right. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity.
Chuckles, I like that.
If that route tore up your tires because the road surface is bad, or it burned 20% more fuel than average because of hills, and the driver racked up overtime, you might have actually lost money on that $5,000. If you don't track the cost per route, you're just flying blind.
Yeah.
You're celebrating revenue while you're bleeding profit.
They also mentioned another one, days sales outstanding. For those who aren't accountants, that's just how fast you collect your cash, right?
Essentially, yeah. It's the time between doing the work and the money actually hitting your bank account. In transport, you have these huge upfront costs. You have to pay for the fuel today, the driver this week.
Right.
If your days sales outstanding starts creeping up to 60 or 90 days, you can go bankrupt while being profitable on paper. You literally run out of cash to buy diesel while you're waiting for a check.
Now, does achieving this visibility require some massive tech stack? Do I need to go out and spend 6 figures on new software? Because that's usually the barrier.
The source is very clear on this. No.
Oh.
Absolutely not. You don't need a dashboard that looks like a NASA control room. You just need clarity.
So a good spreadsheet would do it.
A well-managed spreadsheet is better than a complex software suite that nobody knows how to use. The goal is simply to remove guesswork. When you track these things consistently, patterns just start to emerge.
Patterns like what?
You start to ask better questions. You look at the numbers and you go, wait, why is this specific route always underperforming? Or why does vehicle A cost 15% more to maintain than vehicle B, even though they're the same make and model?
I see.
Once you see the pattern, you can fix it. Maybe vehicle B has a bad alternator. Maybe the driver on that route is aggressive. If you don't see the pattern, it's just money leaking out of a bucket and you don't even know there's a hole.
That leads us perfectly into step 2, which is a human element.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the spreadsheets in the world, but trucks don't drive themselves.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Chuckles. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. The source emphasizes that continuous improvement doesn't live in a database. It lives in behavior. Your drivers, your fleet controllers, your mechanics, they're the ones closest to reality.
They know what's really going on.
They know which routes have the potholes. They know which clients keep them waiting for 3 hours. They know which trucks have sticky gears.
But this is tricky territory. I mean, I walk up to a driver and say, hey, I'm tracking every drop of fuel you use and every time you brake hard. That feels intrusive.
It feels like Big Brother.
Yeah. How do you avoid that backlash?
It's a very real risk. If improvement feels like surveillance or just more management pressure, the culture will turn toxic immediately. Drivers will resent it.
So what's the strategy?
It's all based on transparency. You don't just say, drive better. You explain why. You treat them like adults who understand the business.
So treating them like partners rather than just subordinates.
Exactly that. You share the metrics. You say, look, fuel is 40% of our cost. If we can get this down by 5%, that money doesn't just buy the owner a nicer car. It secures the stability of the company. It protects your job.
Ah, okay.
Most people, when you treat them with that level of respect, they respond to it.
And I'm guessing recognition plays a part here.
Huge. You have to celebrate the wins. If a driver hits their fuel target 3 months in a row, that needs to be recognized publicly. When the team understands the goal and shares in the success, the whole mindset shifts from compliance
Doing it because I have to.
to shared responsibility.
That shift from compliance to responsibility really does seem like the secret sauce.
It is. You want a driver who cares about the truck as if they own it. When they hear a rattle, you want them to report it, not just turn up the radio and ignore it.
Okay, moving on to step 3. This one appeals to the part of me that likes order. Standardizing what works. The source uses a great phrase here. Variation is expensive.
Oh, it's a golden rule in operations. Let's say you have two drivers, driver A and driver B, doing the exact same route with the same load.
Okay?
Driver A consistently uses 10% less fuel. In a typical company, we just shrug and say, well, driver A is just a better driver. He's got the touch.
We treat it like it's some kind of talent, a mystery.
Right. But in a culture of continuous improvement, you treat it as data. You ask why. You investigate.
What's he doing differently?
Exactly. Maybe driver A does a different pre-trip check. Maybe they coast more on the downhills. Maybe they shift gears at a lower RPM. Once you find out the secret, you document it. You take that tribal knowledge that lives in driver A's head and you make it company knowledge.
You turn the talent into a process.
Exactly. You create a standard operating procedure, or SOP. I know SOP sounds boring.
It sounds like red tape.
It does, but the source argues that standardization isn't about bureaucracy. It's about raising the floor. You want to make sure that the best way of doing things becomes the only way of doing things.
So that even on a bad day, the process still holds up.
Yes. Consistency reduces surprises. And in transport, a surprise is almost never a good thing. You never open a container and find a surprise bag of cash.
Chuckles, right.
A surprise means a breakdown, a fine, or an accident. Standardization kills surprises. It makes the business predictable.
Okay, step 4 is where the rubber hits the road in terms of management routine. The monthly review. And the key phrase the source uses here is removing emotion. Why is emotion such a problem in these meetings?
Just think about how most business reviews go. If the numbers are up, everyone is high-fiving. We're geniuses. We survived.
It's a party.
It's a party. If the numbers are down, it's panic. There's shouting, finger-pointing, stress. Who messed up? It's an emotional roller coaster.
I have been in those meetings. It's exhausting. You spend the whole time managing egos instead of managing the business.
Exactly. And you can't build a strategy on a roller coaster. Greystride advocates for what they call a calm analysis approach. Every single month, you sit down, you look at the operational, financial, and vehicle profitability metrics.
Yeah.
And you ask 4 very simple, very unemotional questions.
Walk us through those.
Question 1, what improved? Question 2, what declined? Question 3, why? And the big one, question 4, what must change next month?
It sounds almost too simple. Where's all the drama?
That's the point. It cuts through the drama. It replaces hope with direction. You stop hoping next month will be better, and you start engineering next month to be better.
So it separates the person from the process.
Right. We aren't asking who failed. We are asking why did the number go down?
Make business boring again. That should be the slogan.
Laughs. Honestly, yes. Operations should be boring. Drama is for the movies. If your logistics operation is exciting, you're probably doing it wrong.
Boring means reliable.
And reliable means profitable.
That brings us to step 5, cash flow and structure. The source makes a really strong connection here between operational excellence, how the trucks move, and just plain financial survival.
This is critical, especially in the context the source mentions, focusing on markets like South Africa, where working capital is tight and interest rates are high.
Okay.
You can have the most fuel-efficient fleet in the country. Your drivers can be perfect. But if you ignore your slow-paying customers or if your invoicing process is sloppy, the business will still fail.
This is a silent risk.
It is. The source notes that often operations and finance, they don't talk to each other. Operations thinks their job is done when the truck gets to the destination.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. And finance thinks their job starts when the invoice is sent. But there's a big gap there.
The proof of delivery gap.
Exactly. If the driver loses the paperwork or if the POD isn't signed clearly, finance can't invoice. If you can't invoice, you don't get paid.
And continuous improvement has to include that part.
It has to. You need to apply that same rigorous visibility to your money. You need to know the profitability per route, including the cost of capital.
So if a customer pays in 90 days, that route is actually less profitable than a customer who pays in 30, even if the rate is the same.
Significantly less profitable. You're essentially acting as a bank for that customer. You are financing their business with your cash. You have to calculate that cost.
So a delay in paperwork is just as dangerous as a delay on the road.
In some cases, more so.
Which brings us to the final step. Step 6. Leadership consistency. This feels like the hardest one because it requires the most discipline from the people at the very top.
It's the reality check, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy to tell drivers to be disciplined. It's harder to be disciplined yourself.
This is it. The source says explicitly, improvement culture does not come from motivational speeches. It comes from rhythm.
So you can't just give a Braveheart speech at the Christmas party and expect efficiency in July.
No. And think about the damage you do if you are inconsistent. Imagine you implement all these metrics. You tell the drivers, this is crucial, this is the new way.
Okay.
You hold the meeting in January. Then in February, you're too busy, so you skip it. Then in March, you do it, but you don't really follow up on the action items. What signal does that send?
He tells them it was just a flavor of the month. Tells them management isn't serious.
Exactly. Credibility dies. If standards are enforced selectively, discipline just collapses.
Yeah.
The team is always watching the leadership for patterns.
Right.
If the leader is consistent, even if they are boringly consistent, the team will follow. If you check the numbers every single month, rain or shine, the team learns that they can't hide.
So leadership isn't about intensity. It's about the heartbeat.
It's the drumbeat. It sets the pace for everyone else. Consistency creates trust. If I know what you expect from me every month, I can deliver it. If your expectations change with your mood, I'm just going to try and stay out of your way.
We've gone through the 6 steps: operational visibility, the human element, standardization, the monthly review, cash flow, and leadership consistency. If a company actually does this, if they move from that survival mode to this culture of continuous improvement, what does the other side actually look like?
The source describes it beautifully. It says, margins strengthen quietly, breakdowns reduce. But the biggest change is that stress drops.
That's a huge claim. Stress is usually the default state in these businesses.
But it makes sense, right? When you move from firefighting to foresight, you aren't waking up every morning wondering what crisis is going to hit you.
You have space to think.
You have the mental space to actually think about growth. You can plan. You become resilient.
And in a market like transport, resilience is everything.
It really is. The source lists the things you cannot control. You can't control fuel prices. You can't control interest rates. You can't control whether a port goes on strike.
Right.
If you focus on those, you'll just be anxious all the time. You'll feel like a victim.
But there is a list of things you can control.
Yes, you can control your standards. You can control your reviews. You can control your accountability. And you can control your discipline. That is where your power lies.
That's empowering. It stops you from being a victim of the economy and makes you the captain of your own ship again.
That's the core message. The right structure turns hard work into measurable performance. And measurable performance turns pressure into profit.
I think that's something every listener can take away, whether they run a fleet of 500 trucks or they're just managing a small team in an office.
Yeah.
The principles are universal.
Absolutely. Visibility, people, standards, review.
It's about building a machine that just gets better by itself.
Mm.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a thought that really struck me while reading this. We often wear busyness like a badge of honor. Oh, I'm so busy, I'm putting out fires all day. We kind of brag about it.
We do.
But based on everything we've learned today, that busyness might actually be a warning sign.
It raises a very provocative question. If your operation feels incredibly busy but not fully optimized, is that a sign of hard work? Or is it a signal that structure is missing?
Are you confusing hard work with measurable performance? That is the question to chew on this week.
It's a tough question, but answering it, that changes everything.
Huge thanks to Greystride for the source material on this one, a real masterclass in operational discipline. And thank you to you, the listener, for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Keep improving.